But in reality, people are worried that there will be new legislation. There will be new laws that are much more controversial because they're not mainstream. They're actually trying to accommodate other ethnic groups and ethnic biases. Second thing is, we tend to think that anytime you have assimilation of ethnic populations into the main population, you will have diversity and you will have people learning each other's cultures, and that's all a very good, positive thing. But the Time article actually says it could have the opposite effect, in that people become so fearful of the fact that they're losing ground that they'll start to huddle tighter and they'll start to act more like factions and become more sort of united and not as inclusive of other minorities because they're just simply afraid of where our demographic patterns are taking us. That's sort of a pessimistic way to look at it, but it is very valuable information. That's why the government expends such effort to try to collect it.
Well, moving on to news from India, I bet you thought you'd never find a use for chili like this. The Indian Army is about to weaponize the world's hottest chili pepper. The Bhut Jolokia chili is apparently noted in the Guinness Book of World Records as the hottest chili in the world.
There's actually a chili scale, right? And
there is a chili scale, and it's according to units. And a jalapeno pepper has about 25 to 8,000 units, to give you some perspective. Tabasco sauce has about 5,000 units. This chili pepper has 1 million units. And according to the Indian Army, the chili grenade has been found fit for use after trials in Indian Defense Laboratories, a fact confirmed by scientists at the Defense Research and Development Organization. This is definitely going to be an effective non-toxic weapon because its pungent smell can choke terrorists and force them out of their hideouts.
Wait a minute. You're telling me, you're serious. They intend to make tear gas-like hand grenades to immobilize suspects from a chili pepper.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And one of the other uses, they say, is that it could be used in aerosol sprays to be used by women against attackers and for police to control and disperse mobs.
That's actually a smart use. I mean, I guess it's a little bit like tear gas. It does make you cry. It makes you really have a painful next day after if you're not careful. But I'm glad to know that the Indian Army is putting its good resources to use on very important matters like this.
And it's green. Good for the earth.
It's very good for the earth. Well, speaking of chilies, when I grew up at home, my mom would always make chili pakoras, fritters. And we would have that with a cup of hot steaming tea. So if your tongue wasn't already on fire, it would be by the time you finished with that cup of tea. But tea in India, along with coffee, is really struggling to find the right home with its audience. Many of you have seen in India as you've traveled that there is really a dichotomy. There is the older generation that prefers doing things the old way, having a cup of tea down at the old shanty shack at the end of the street, except that the young generation, the yuppies, they really want to sit in coffee houses like Starbucks, and there's several of them in India that are doing very well. Barista is one of them. Coffee Day is another one of them. And it is an experience. You go there not for the cup of coffee, but for the ambient experiences, to sit in air conditioning and to have a very, fancy cup of coffee. So consequently, all those little shanty shacks in towns are really having a hard time competing with these large-scale shops. What it's turning into more of is a demographic split, if you will, between the older generation looking for the old ways to do things and the newer generation basically saying now we like the Western way. And I think India overall is going to lose some of its basic characteristics, losing these, shantytown coffee shacks.
But, this is a case where I think progress is good because every time I've had the tea from the little shanty in India, and somebody explained to me the conventional wisdom of drinking really piping hot tea out of a small, clear glass that the minute you touch it, it just sears your hand. So in this case, I like the progress. I like the idea of the Western coffee house because, you have that little sleeve that's around the cup and you can grab it without burning your hand off.
Oh, you're such a yuppie, Dinesh. You're supposed to have it in like the old-fashioned earthen clay pots, even before the glass. I know in where I come from in India, it is, they call it a kullad. It's literally made up of clay, and what you do after you're done drinking the tea is you smash your clay earthenware right back into a big can that they have there, that they collect all the broken ones. They take them home, melt them, And back the next day, you have new clay pots to drink tea in. It's perfectly green, and it's perfectly recyclable.
Well, I try the clay pot. That sounds interesting, and it wouldn't burn your hand.
It doesn't burn your hand. That's exactly right. Well, folks, that's about all we have for you today, but I want you to stay around for a very special interview. Most of you have been watching Darshan on Saturday mornings and listen to Vikram Mathur. He gives the Bollywood update every week. I know I watch because it's my way to stay connected on the Bollywood front, and Vikram certainly comes with his facts. He knows all about the directors, the movies, the sequence, who did what to whom, and it's like getting a little bit of your Bollywood gossip along with your song in the morning, every morning. Well, most of you might have also realized that he has been a longtime participant in Natya Bharti. Natya Bharti is an organization in the D.C. area. It's an arts literary organization that performs plays and dramas of Indian origin. They have been doing this for 25 years in the Washington, D.C. area, and I've had the privilege to interview them before on the show as well. But this week, it will be done by Vikram Mathur, who actually got his start in 1995 when he was in first grade, when he went to see one of their first plays. And Dinesh, thank you so much for joining me here today. It was fun. You know, we always have such a good time. And thanks for ribbing on John Boehner for me. I needed that.
Whatever I can do.
No, but we always have a great time. And so hopefully next time we'll get a chance to have some more fun with some of these topics.
Absolutely, Aastha. It's been a pleasure talking about all of these various topics with you. And it's not often that I get 3 ribs against John Boehner in one episode. Have a great weekend. Namaste.
Namaste.